After my boyfriend died, I slept with his best friend. It's been 6 months and it's eating me alive. My boyfriend Nate died in January. Car accident on the highway during a snowstorm. He was 28. I got the call from his mom at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. She was screaming so hard I couldn't understand what she was saying for the first 30 seconds. When I finally heard the words, I sat on the kitchen floor and didn't move for 2 hours. Nate and I had been together for 5 years. We talked about getting married. We talked about kids. We talked about buying a house with a yard big enough for a dog. We were building something and then it was gone. The funeral was the worst day of my life. I don't remember most of it. I remember his mom grabbing my hand so tight it left marks. I remember the casket being closed because of the accident. I remember thinking this isn't real over and over until someone handed me a tissue and I realized I'd been crying without knowing it. After the funeral, everyone disappeared. That's what people don't tell you about grief. Everyone shows up for the first week. They bring food, they send flowers, they text you every morning, then they stop. By week 3, the calls slow down. By week 5, you're alone in the apartment you shared with someone who isn't coming back, and the silence is so loud it makes you sick. The only person who didn't disappear was Nate's best friend Cole. They'd been close since middle school. Cole was at the hospital that night. He was the one who identified the body because Nate's mom couldn't do it. After the funeral, Cole checked on me every few days. He'd text and ask if I'd eaten. He'd stop by with groceries. He fixed the leaking faucet Nate had been meaning to get to. He didn't try to make me feel better. He just showed up. In March, I was having the worst night I'd had since it happened. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't breathe. I sat in Nate's closet on the floor holding one of his shirts, and I called Cole at 1 a.m. because I didn't know who else to call. He came over in 15 minutes. He sat on the floor with me. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then he said I miss him too. I looked at him and saw the same thing I was feeling. The same emptiness, the same exhaustion, the same person trying to hold it together for everyone else while falling apart inside. I kissed him. He didn't pull away. We didn't talk about it. It just happened. Grief and loneliness and 2 people who loved the same person and didn't know how to carry it alone. Afterward, he sat on the edge of the bed and put his head in his hands. He said, "I'm sorry." I said, "Don't." He said Nate would hate me. I said, "Nate's gone." That was the cruelest thing I've ever said. I watched Cole flinch like I'd hit him. He left that night. He texted me the next morning. "I don't think we should talk for a while." I said, "Okay." We didn't talk for 3 weeks. Then I texted him. I said, "I'm sorry for what I said." He said, "I know." He said, "I feel like I betrayed him." I said, "I feel the same." He said, "What do we do?" I said, "I don't know." We started talking again. Not like before. Careful. Short messages. No visits. No calls past 9 p.m. We put rules around it like that would undo what already happened. In April, I went to Nate's mom's house for his birthday. She does a small thing every year now. Candles and cake and photos. She hugged me and said, "You were the best thing that ever happened to him." I stood in her kitchen looking at a photo of Nate on the fridge, and I wanted to tell her everything. I wanted to say I'm not who you think I am. I slept with his best friend 2 months after he died, and I don't know if it was grief or loneliness or something worse, but I didn't say it. I smiled and ate cake and hated myself quietly. Cole was there too. We didn't look at each other. His mom said it's so nice that you two still have each other. You both loved him so much. I almost threw up. Last month, Cole called me. He said he'd been seeing a therapist. He said the therapist told him grief makes people do things that don't align with who they are. He said it doesn't have to define us. I said, "Does it matter what the therapist says if we can't forgive ourselves?" He went quiet. Then he said, "I don't know yet." I said, "I don't either. I haven't told anyone." Some nights I talk to Nate out loud. I tell him about my day. I tell him I miss him. I've never once told him I'm sorry.